Now, the month of October launches everyone into the final quarter of the year with Christmas and New Year celebrations in sight. Even though the 2020 election activities are on the center stage currently, investors, shop owners and other businesses are also preparing to take advantage of the season and import several food products onto the Ghanaian market to cash in as people ready for the festive season. What is the FDA doing to ensure that food products imported into the country are safe for consumption before, during and beyond? What role does the consumer also play as they get ready for the festive season shopping? We'll soon be joined by the Consumer Protection Agency and the FDA for a conversation. But before then, Manuel Kranting was at the Central Business District in Accra. He has filed this report.
It's that time of the year again. I mean, close to just about 2 months to Christmas, and in the market you get a lot of people rushing to purchase various goods and stock them. But some of them of high quality, others also just a bit of issues here and there. Quite critically, we've seen issues of expiry date, we've seen issues of rust from inside cans, we've seen issues of rebagging. All of these are issues that have been mentioned by the Food and Drugs Authority. Well, I'm here at the Central Business District in Accra to try and talk to a few of the market folks, traders here. How do they make sure that their products and services are of high quality and of the highest standard? I'm going to talk to this gentleman here, who is the owner of the shop. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Great, I hope everything's fine.
Yes, please.
So is this your shop?
Yeah, this is my shop.
Okay, so I see drinks, I see mosquito coil, I see water, and so on and so forth. Are you aware of some of the safety protocols that you take note of in selling some of these things?
Yes.
Okay, well, just take us through a few of them. Which ones do you particularly look at when you're selling?
We check on the expiry date. Yeah, that's the important part of it. Yes. Yeah.
So what happens if a product, for instance, maybe an entire consignment of Malta Guinness, for instance, is expired? What do you do?
When it's getting to the date, we just inform our suppliers that the date is getting nearer. So what happens is that they normally bring another goods to take our expired one. Yes, that's what they do.
You take it away and receive a new one?
Yes, they give us new one, but the other products, sometimes when they give you, they don't change it when it's getting to the expiry date.
Okay. There are concerns about, some of you keeping the stock for so long in your shops, and then when it gets expired, then you clear them at really low prices. Tell me about that.
When it's getting to the expiry date, normally, when they are not ready to change it for us, then you have to reduce it and clear the goods. But when it expires, we just throw it away. In Okanshi here in Accra, we don't do that. When it's getting to the expiry date, you either reduce it and clear, or you inform them to replace it for you.
But you sell canned products. I mean, sardines, canned tomato paste, and so on and so forth. Sometimes you have rust from inside the can.
Yeah, it's true. When you keep it for a long time, you see the tomato, the lifespan is 2 years. So when you keep it and get into the time, sometimes you get dented ones, and they have the rusted ones too. That one, normally those who import will not replace it for you, but they have local factories here. Those people, they can change it for you. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have a dented, what do you call it, canned tomato paste, you're not going to sell?
No, you can't sell it here. Even the customers, now the customers, they are clever now. When they come and they see dented ones, they won't buy. Now they also check the date, the expiry date. Yes, it's serious now. They check it before they buy. Yeah.
All right, so that's comments on the streets. In the studio with me is the CEO of Consumer Protection Agency, Kofi Kapito. You're welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, my dear lady.
All right, and also on Zoom is the head of Food Industrial Support Services Department of the Food and Drugs Authority, Ebenezer Kofi Essel. Mr. Essel, thank you for your time. I think you are muted. I see you speaking, but I can't hear you. If you would unmute and say something.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Perfect, I hear you perfectly. So let me start with you, Mr. Essel. What is the FDA's plan as we go into the Christmas and, you know, people buying things, etc., to ensure public safety?
Well, thank you, and let me say a very good afternoon to your viewers. The Food and Drugs Authority, as part of our mandate and the usual things that we do, getting to the Yuletide, we appreciate the fact that you have more and more people going out there to make purchases, either for home use or for as gifts that they're going to give out to people. And in the process, people become a little bit, you know, unfortunately reckless. And so they let down their guards, and then you have unscrupulous business person who also take advantage of these enhanced purchases, and as it were, sell things that would usually not be sold. Fake products or adulterated products or substandard goods, and at the same time, products that are also unwholesome. And so there are several things that we do. And then the most important one of them is the public education. And I'm very happy the young man who you interviewed earlier on did mention that now people, when they come out there to buy things, especially canned products, they will not even select dented cans. And it's an indication that our public education is going down well. So
we'll review, Mr. Essel, we'll review the public education that you have done. I mean, fortunately for us, we have the Consumer Protection Agency. But then I want to just find out from you the plan, FDA's plan. You've talked about public education. If you would run us through the others, then we'll perhaps, you know, have a conversation around that.
Yeah, the others include the intensified market surveillance. Okay. We also have intensified border operations at the ports and at the various points where goods come into the country from from neighboring countries and all that.
Yeah. And
so market surveillance, port controls, public education.
Yeah.
These are the three major activities that we intensify during this period in order to sustain public health and safety.
Okay, just a quick one. With the public education, I mean, we can talk about it, but market surveillance and border operations, which you've mentioned, exactly how do you execute these checks? When you go, so for example, when you get to the markets, we know once a while you randomly go to the market to check what products are there. If I'm wrong, correct me. And with the border operations, educate us a bit more.
Okay, with the market surveillance, it's unfortunate you probably seen it as a once a while. It's not a once a while thing. It's an everyday thing.
Okay.
It's an everyday thing. And when I talk about intensified market surveillance, what it means that now you throw more officers on the field.
Okay.
So if you have about 60 officers in the head office involved in market surveillance, now you are talking about the double of that number. In other words, you will cover a lot of places, you have your presence felt more. We believe in what we call the positive presence or the positive fear. Let the offender know that you will be there. Just like the police, just put one police officer at a traffic intersection. Every motorist will fall in line. And so put the FDA officers out there. Let people see them. Let the retailers know that the FDA is out here on a daily basis looking at the things that we are doing. And that in itself will let the people know that you can't just go out there and take people for a ride.
Okay.
So it doesn't call the market. With the port intensified activities, is the same thing. Your collaboration with the other operators, state operators at the port, you work closely with them. Now we have a closer working relationship with SEPs and other institutions at the port than we have in previous years. Before a ship berths, we already know what it contains, and that is shared on a common platform. So all the institutions know that this particular ship that has berthed, there are things in it that the FDA has to see. And then until the authorities or SEPs sees a clearance from the FDA, such containers will not be let out of the port. And that is the sort of thing that we will engage ourselves in the mall.
Okay.
You know, now we are working 24/7 at the port. You have FDA officials always available at the port.
At the port. We'll come back to a bit of that. Let me come to the studio and engage Kofi Kapito, who is also here with me. So, Mr. Kapito, you've heard what the FDA is saying. I want to take your initial assessment. I mean, as an agency, I believe that you've been doing quite some work in this area. You've heard the FDA. What do you say?
Oh, let me take this opportunity to say good afternoon to your listeners or viewers. You know what? The FDA, to me, under their new CEO, has done a lot. I've been doing a lot of interactions with them.
Okay.
Actually, this whole educational seasonal campaign is a joint thing between the Consumer Protection Agency and the Food and Drugs Board. The Food and Drugs Board, unfortunately, do their best. But the funny thing is we always have unscrupulous people. It's not just only in Ghana. But to me, it is also the responsibility of my agency also to inform consumers as to what to look out for and what to be able to report so that the post-market and everything else will be holistic.
Okay, so what do you have on the drawing board for as we go into Christmas in October? I mean, next week is about November. December is coming. We have a lot to do when it comes to even with the election. People are still giving out things, you know, some food products, and we look forward to the Christmas where we'll do a lot of shopping. What do you have?
You know, there's a basic consumer thing that says buyer beware.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, the fact that somebody is there to protect your interests, that does not mean you should also be aware of what your responsibilities are.
Sometimes we just don't care, you know.
No, you should care. If you say you don't care, then what do you expect the authority to do?
Yeah, we just don't care because people sometimes feel, have you heard this, and I'm sure you have heard, people say African germs are not harmful.
Oh, I think it's something that maybe my grandmother's them used to say.
Gradually
But the question is,
people's head.
It doesn't really, because now with the advent of the internet and all these things, now instantly news is broadcast internationally.
So you think the perception among the buying populace has changed?
It is changing.
Consumers?
It is changing per even the businessman who was at Okanshi, who was bold enough to say that even his customers will not even buy dented cans anymore. It's not just dented. Some of them are pregnant. I mean, all kinds of stuff. But the question is, you see, when you tend to buy things cheap, that is when you get in trouble. I know the pocket of the Ghanaian is tight, but the question is, I'd rather buy something wholesome than to go and say that I'm going to buy something that is reduced to clear. Okay. And the trick is this reduced to clear.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with reduced to clear, but the consumer goes and he sees that they reduce to clear. Instead of them buying what they need for a week or a few days, they buy for months. Okay. And you know you cannot consume within that.
I think on the basis of that, when we finish the conversation, the last thing I'll have you do for me is to give us, you know, a list of things to check, the boxes to check when you're going to buy. So, I mean, that's a bit of nice information that when you're buying reduced to clear, buy just what you need for a short, you know, period, because the longer it takes, it's going to be contaminated. Mr. Essel, I want to come to you. Not long ago, we had an issue of contaminated gizzard. With all that you've mentioned, market surveillance, border operations, some way, somehow, we still had that contaminated gizzard on the tables of Ghanaian consumers. How should or why should Ghanaians trust the FDA that going forward we won't have some of these incidents occurring?
Well, let me say this, that regulation as it is, it's not a total, you know, program in itself that will give you a total clearance that everything is okay. That is why we call it regulation. It's a control system that we put in place. Occasionally, something may go wrong, but your ability to identify what has gone wrong, your ability to establish how it got to to that level. And then dealing with the situation all will go to show your, your skills, the knowledge, and then your regulatory prowess.
Because I want to talk to you about so many things, but because I don't have a lot of time, I want you to deal with the specifics for me. So I get that the reason why we found this was because of your diligence. Is that what you're saying?
Precisely.
Okay.
The diligence is what helps us to identify problems that have occurred.
So my question is, what else have you put in place that will make us trust you?
If you take a container load of gizzard, there's no 200% assessment of every pack.
Okay.
Okay? And so you will do a random sampling. Now, if the problem is not with the sample that you tested, the problem may be in the other samples that were not tested.
Okay.
And so your public education, your market surveillance will definitely pick out something that your import control system failed to identify. That is why you don't have just one system when it comes to regulation. You have a gamut of them. Okay. And so you put all ends and you're able to pick out something that has gone wrong. So we can still give the assurance to Ghanaians that as far as the FDA is concerned, you can still trust the FDA. And that is why if you look at the number of foodborne diseases, there are cases that are reported in the world. Ghana probably is one of the countries where it's either not reported at all, or if it is reported, the numbers are very, very low.
Okay.
And I believe that, one, our food delivery systems are working, and then the consumers themselves are also becoming more and more educated. Our retailers and everybody involved are getting the necessary education that will all work together to ensure that our food delivery system in the country is safe.
It's safe.
And so,
Mr. Essel, let me just push this in quickly. Online products. There's a lot of people are selling online today. Some of them don't even show anything that they've been approved by the FDA. What is the plan there?
Yeah, this morning I was with Star FM and this issue came up, and that is one of the problems that all regulatory institutions all over the world are facing, and it is becoming a means of transferring and selling fake, adulterated and substandard products. And so the education or the approach is to alert consumers that if you intend to buy things online, you stand a risk. Beyond food and medicines, people have bought dresses and other things online. Eventually, they realize that what they got was not what they were looking for.
But that's okay. But then when it comes to food and anything that you are putting into your body, yeah.
It's quite dangerous. The advice is that don't patronize such regulated products online, unless, of course, you can trust the source.
Okay.
Okay? If somebody puts himself out there and he says that I can supply this quantity of a particular commodity, we don't know where he's getting it from. That is why it is important that buy from areas or persons or sources where we can follow up and then do the necessary investigation should anything happen to you.
Great. The next thing I'll take from you is your final word. But Mr. Capito, I want you to run us through some of the things that you need to check, the checklist to go into buy.
You have the basic responsibility to yourself and to your family. Yes, the regulator will be there, but the regulator cannot be everywhere. So when you walk into the market, especially you, our mothers and sisters, when you go, somebody has displayed something that looks suspicious, okay, you know you buy tomato all the time. And this time the tomato doesn't look right. Why would you even be tempted to buy? Because he's telling you buy 3 for 1. I mean, when people do that, you should understand that they're under pressure. They need to move this product. So you yourself should be responsible. Look, let me tell you what. You were talking about this online thing.
Yes.
And it's very, very interesting. Like you said, maybe clothes is not dangerous.
Yes.
I bought a Ferragamo shoe online in America sometime in July. When it came, unfortunately, I didn't look at the proper Ferragamo site. It looked just like a clone. So the Ferragamo that I got wasn't the original Ferragamo. It came from China.
What is Ferragamo, by the way?
Ferragamo is a shoe. It's a shoemaker.
Okay.
Okay. The question is, even me, if I can fall, prey to this. Because, look, the online thing is very, very scary. Fortunately, maybe Ghana, we are not buying food like online. In other jurisdictions that people are shopping online, even for meat.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are lucky. Maybe we haven't gotten there. But we have some reputable supermarkets. If they would get into that line of business, at least there's a trace that you can go and say, this is the badge number, this is your responsibility. But the consumer, look, if you see something, they say if it looks like a duck, walk like a duck, quack like a duck, it's a duck.
Okay, so your advice as we wrap up on this is do not buy so many of reduced to clear products. Just
if you cannot use it within the specific expiration date.
Yes, you buy as many as you need within a specific time.
Not as many as you want.
As many as you need. And also do not buy from, I mean, these are our takeaways from this conversation. Do not buy, it's unsafe to buy food products or anything that you put inside your body online. And that's what we're getting. And when people, I'm just getting this question coming in that what's the difference between best before and expiry date?
It depends. It's just semantics, right? But if somebody says best before and best before expiry
best before,
I'm sure
the FDA
Kofi Essel can explain. But to me, my understanding is it is basically semantics. It's like the chicken and the egg. Which one comes first? So the question is, there is a specific date on it, whether it's best before or best after.
Yours is don't go for it.
Don't go for it
before that date.
Yes.
Okay, FDA, best before expiry date. My understanding was that best before means you can actually still use it even after that date. But expiry means expiry is more definite.
You are technically correct.
Yes, I am correct.
You are technically correct.
Okay.
But let me quickly add this. For most food products, and this is something that is being discussed internationally, and we've used expiry dates, and in the process we have thrown away food that would have been very good for use. And so the regulators' bit of all these things is the fact that it doesn't matter whether you put a best before date or expiry date. The most important thing is that the manufacturer says that beyond these dates, I cannot guarantee you the safety, the quality, and all the nice things that they expect to have from the product.
True.
And that is why it is not good for you as a consumer to patronize the product when the date indicated on the product has expired.
Okay.
So whether it is a best before date or an expiry date, the most important thing is that somebody says, I cannot be held responsible. I cannot guarantee the safety and the quality of this product beyond these dates.
Okay.
And therefore, we also don't want anyone to put that product out there or put the product out there or, as it were, use the product. We don't want retailers to do that.
Very well, very well. Ms. Essel, the person who just bumped into your office has told us we've had a long conversation, and that should be enough to advise our consumers and our viewers. We say a very big thanks to you for your time this afternoon, for joining in, and I believe that people who are watching... I'd love
to be at the studios, and then my regards to Kofi.
You know what you should ask Kofi Essel? They should put the numbers that when somebody sees something,
they can report.
Because the FDA cannot be everywhere.
Yes.
But once you report to them, they will act, and they will act promptly.
Okay, Mr. Essel, for our next conversation, perhaps next week, we'll have a conversation about that. Maybe open up our WhatsApp lines and have people share their concerns.
Precisely. And let me assure consumers that we have all these lines available, to free lines and all that. So when we meet next week, we'll make them all available. But we can even send them to you immediately after this discussion, so that you can also announce to your viewers and the listeners.
That's all right. My producers will allow that. Thank you. Ebenezer Kofi Essel, there, who we just spoke to, is with the FDA. But here in the studio, I have Kofi Kapito, very familiar face on TV, also the head of the Consumer Protection Agency. Mr. Kapito, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
So you know what to do when you're going to buy the food and it's very cheap. Buy just what you need, not what you want.